Hey, this is Matt with Let's Talk Music. I'm here with Rich Hall. How we doing this evening, buddy?
I'm doing good. Excuse me, my kid is crying in the background, but hopefully that's going to be taken care of soon.
No problem. So, Rich, I've read your press release and whatnot, and wanted to talk a little bit about your underground music promoting first.
Sure.
So, tell me about that. I mean, I know you did quite a bit back in the '90s, CBGB'S, stuff like that.
Yeah, it was a crazy time. Like, I just caught lightning in a bottle. It was just like looking back. I got to book a lot of the bigger bands that are like the bands that are bigger today. Like I can't believe like these kids are these rock stars now. And there's a lot of them. And I got into it just because I just wanted to know how it worked. I just want to
Right.
know how like what's behind the curtain. I want to be the wizard. Like, how does the wizard work? And like, I kind of like, oh, this is cool. This is easy. It's not easy, but it was like it was simple. You just had to apply it to make it work for yourself. And I take a lot of my artistic background
Mm-hmm.
to that because curating a show is like curating an art show. What's the right pieces for, like, let's say a group show? What's the right pieces? What artist goes with this artist and all that kind of stuff. And like throughout the years, I feel like I hit on a lot of bands like that, and it it flourished for everyone. For me, of course, being a popular promoter to go to,
Mm-hmm.
especially being in New York City. But like, of course, they were going to come to me. Everyone goes to New York City, but like, people coming back once they're way bigger than they were before to do a show with me, and like I'm super grateful for those bands like Poison the Well, Lamb of God. Down the line, even like currently working with festivals. Like I can call a booking agent like, hey, look, like we want this band, Rich. We trust you. Let's do this. Let's go. And it's like, all right, cool. And go back to the guy running the festival. Like, we got him. Let's do this. And like everyone wins. So it's
That's
really cool
awesome.
ride. Really, like just even think about it, like get choked up because like so many like lifelong friends I made with it, and that's really the best part of it.
Awesome. Yeah, I I would love to get into something like that. Like because a lot of these bands that I'm working with are independent artists, and my YouTube is growing, but it's not as big as I'd like it to be to where these bands are getting recognized. Um, and it's just getting started is the hardest part. I mean, I talked to a place out here, Buckeye Lake Music Center, and they asked me, what shows have you done in the past? What bands are you thinking of? And I said, well, hey, I haven't done any shows, but these are the gave them a list of bands I was thinking of, and never heard back from them.
Well, I think I think the best part of doing something like that, or starting or trying to start, just start small. Just make it easy on yourself. You don't have to shoot the moon. Just it's just baby steps. Just like find some artists that you like really are really hungry and really want the opportunity to play a show. Start there. Start at a small bar or like an event center or something local.
Mhm.
Where everyone can enjoy it. All ages, all that kind of stuff, and just start from there. Like, you don't have to be the biggest. You don't have to book the biggest bands because it's going to be the biggest headache.
Right.
You know, you want to work with bands. Work with small bands that you believe in. Like,
And
you have you. For me, if I see a band and I like their, you know, their personalities, their work ethic, their just drive, and like, yeah, I want to work with that band because they're gonna be successful because they have that already, and like you got to find people that's going to listen to you and going to take your advice because a lot of bands is like that I've worked with never really listened to me and they went on their own and went. Pfft. And I'm like, all right, have fun with that.
right.
Like I'm glad I dodged that bullet, but you have to find a diamond in the rough, and there's a lot of there's a lot of bands out there, but like you personally have to find the right one.
Right.
and like make sure that you can develop and take that ride with them, and like make sure like they're going to be grateful for your hard work. And that's how I book bands, and that's how I book tours, and that's how I put bands on festivals and just stuff like that. So
Well, I
it's
appreciate the insight.
yeah, like just you just gotta find the people who are you gotta find the people who are like you and like-minded with you, and we'll take that journey. We'll take the lows with you. We'll take the highs with you. You know what I mean? You just got to make sure that you got to find the right people.
Right. Well, and like I said, I wasn't looking at like anybody big. Most of them are these independent artists that I talk with. It just I listen to their music and I talk with them, and I get this connection with them, and I'm like, man, I would love to just get you out there. And it's I've called our local radio station a few times, and they're pretty much, they have a like a local music thing on the weekends, but I haven't been able to get anybody on there. Mostly it's all signed bands, big bands, and so
It's a lot of work. Trust me. Like like I recently was at a job where like they only gave me 6 months to really work my magic, and I'm like, I've been doing this. It's going to be 25 years next year. You know what I mean? Like, are you paying? Are you paying for like the time frame, or like are you paying for the experience? And basically the time frame, and not the experience. So like, I can't say like like boo on them, but like boo on them because like if you really want to be like you want someone that knows what they're doing and all that, it's going to take time.
right.
So I mean, like COVID doesn't help, but you know what I mean.
Hmm.
You gotta find that. You gotta be respected in what you do. You know what I mean? Like you gotta like, okay, this person respects me and they want to work with me and they want to take that time. I'm gonna work with that person. If that person's looking for an out or a savior, so to say, like I need to save your club or you need to save my label or you need to save this, it's like, well, it's gonna take time. And if we only got 6 months, I'm like, I'm the wrong guy.
Right. Right.
Because, you know what I mean? So like,
Yeah, they're looking for a miracle man. So
I don't work with miracles. I can build. I'm a builder. I'll build a foundation. We'll build a nice thing, and we'll go higher and make a big skyscraper out of it. But I can't deal. I can't do like on this. Yeah, I can. If I'm in the right situation, but for a long term thing, like you have to save this thing now, and I'm like, I can't.
right.
So. And like if your head's like that, I can't be working with you because we're going to be at the wrong speed. So
So now I read something about you trying to at one point sign Lamb of God or something about that.
yeah, so I worked at a label called MIA Records. We put out a couple of records locally, New York City bands. So we tried to bridge out to like other bands that, not from the area, and one band was called Burn the Priest. So I was like, this band's really great. The guy Jack, who was the A&R as well, was like, this is great. We got to do this, and we got to sign them. And oh my god, all that kind of stuff. And then we ran into a little little red light, which was the guy who owned the company, who basically was the money backer,
Hmm.
and he was a Texas Baptist. And if we brought him this band, Burn the Priest, and it's like, oh,
Right.
let's find this band, and we kind of got the stern look of like, what are you thinking? And like, okay, next one, So like, and then of course, Burn the Priest became Lamb of God and exploded.
So
So,
you still connect with Randy Blythe and all them?
we're friends on Instagram. He's living that rock star life. We talk, through messages here and there and all this, and um, I don't really get to see them. They don't really tour out there, or it's like, oh, like I don't really get to know if they're coming around. I don't know, but we still try to keep contact through social media at a
Okay.
point. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Well, let's talk about the art.
yeah.
So how did that get started?
I started when I was a kid. Comic books. I was jealous of my older sister drawing. Like, you want to do this for a living? I want to do this for a living. And then, copying comic book characters and kind of that kind of stuff, and like it just applied, and like it just grew from there. I went to art high school, and then therefore going to art college, and this is where the show thing started to happen. Um, but but yeah, with art, it was mainly comic books, all that good stuff, science fiction, just Star Wars, big Star Wars fan. Just being a manative as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
um, going to art school, like having a door, a portal to all my teachers were working at Marvel Comics or DC Comics and stuff like that, and like I can do this, and
Awesome.
I wanted to do this, and then music came kind of creeping in, even though like throughout my whole life, like my family has always been in. The music was always on. Let's put it that way in my
Mm-hmm.
house. So then like music just I just started going to more shows locally, like in the city, and like got involved in the scene, and like I kind of want like how does this work? How does what's behind the curtain? We're talking about the wizard behind the curtain. Like I want to know how do you start? How do you just do it?
Right.
And like it was funny. Like at Warped Tour in '95 was the first one. It was like Sick of It All, Quicksand, Civ, L7, Sublime, all those bands. Um, my mentor and best friend Tyler King, he was handing out flyers and like, I want to help you. I go to school. I'll help you. You seem like this 3,000 people. Let's help. I'll help you. So me and my cousin went around the whole crowd, gave them all out, went right back. I need some more. He's like, what? It's like, yeah, just give them out. It's like, all right, give them all out. He's like, why don't you come to the show? Okay, cool. Go to the show. All bands I liked anyway. Um, I was like, oh, I'm going to college. Give me some flyers. And then more working more with him, then that's when like when's what's this all about? Tell me how this works. And that's how I got involved in doing shows and started working at CBGB's. Because I'm a bigger guy, and they're like, oh, we need a security guy. Here you go, work the back door. I'm like, okay, sure. I need money for college. Our supplies are a lot of money. Sure,
Right.
it is. So, yeah, and just took off, and then Tyler. So then I started. So basically, like art was in the rearview mirror at that point,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just basically just like full on music, and working at CBGB's pretty much every night, and I graduated eventually from school. Let's not talk my mom about that one. But anyway, um, but yeah, music was, and then and then Tyler moved away in '99, and I was just like, I was working at CB's for 4 years. At that point, I was like, I want to do a show. I think I know how, and I did a couple in Long Island, and I was just like, all right, this is cool, this is low key, like I want to go, I want, all right, and CBGB's, major leagues to everyone. I'm like, oh, I'll do a show here. It just took off.
Nice. So, your paintings that I've seen were Chaos Face and Demented Android Arachnid. How did you come up with those names?
I don't know. It's just like I just look at it and I just want to be like in your face. Here you go. Here's this weird name. It applies to this weird painting, or just at some point, with the chaos face painting, it was just like there was just all these faces and just going nuts and just like every which way and blah blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, that's the title, And then like with the Android painting, it just had like like I'm a big Star Wars fan, big toy guy as well.
Mm-hmm.
I basically like I have an old school AT-AT, and my son plays with it, and like it was just on the floor of my studio, and it was just in this position, and I'm like, I think I just was starting this painting, and I'm like, I'm just going to use this figure, and let's switch it around. Oh yeah, Then it's like, oh wow, these 8 arms, it became like 8 arms, it's a spider, and I'm like, okay, great, like okay, cool, I found it. Let's start painting, and then it just kind of it looks like a spider. You know what I mean? With 8 limbs going around, I'm like, oh yeah, great. The way I painted it just looked demented. So like, I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna go with it.
Nice.
So yeah,
So you got a opening reception coming up July 15th,
yeah,
and that is Vividly Grotesque.
yeah. That's the name of the show. It's basically how life is showing itself to everyone. You know, how the ugliness of life. Hold on one second.
Oh, you're fine.
Um, just I don't know, just through social media. I'm trying to protect my son. I'm trying to protect him out of all this ugly world. You know what I mean? Like the only way I can apply it and be therapeutic about it is painting.
Mm-hmm.
And it was basically, sorry.
No
Um,
problem.
yeah, I mean, like throughout the pandemic, it was basically like I was nervous of like what's happening. No one knows what's happening. This is all new to anyone. Like where's my therapy? I'm like I don't know what to do. And like luckily my wife was sent home. She still works from home, but like all I had was painting. And now with the world, just being a little bit more uglier, being more in your face through social media and all this kind of stuff. It's just like, this is how I feel about this topic. This is how I feel about this topic. And this is the first time I've been really honest and current with my
Mm-hmm.
pieces. So, you could see the lull. You could see like the height of like, oh my god, what's going through my mind. You could see like, okay, this is great. Oh my god, because it's peaks and valleys with like all this stuff going on in the world. So like,
Right.
I'm transferring those peaks and valleys onto canvas in like the best way possible, while still having a big smile on my face when my son comes from school. You know what I mean? And still seeing the world through his little 4-year-old eyes. You know what I mean? So like, it's definitely something that needs to be reflected and shown to people that really don't is not getting what's going on in the world. Put it that way.
Right.
So I am showing it to them in my own light.
So this show is going to be at Talk Gallery, correct?
Yes, in
And
Denver, Colorado.
yes.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's it's a culmination of what I've always wanted. Starting to do art again on my own 10 years ago
Mhm.
when I moved from New York to Seattle, and like, yeah, it took 10 years, but I feel like look at all the great artists. They did the long game. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
Picasso was like 70 when he was like, super huge, like I have that time. So like, why not just play a long game? Like everyone wants stuff now. I want this now. I want recognition now. I want to be validated now. It's like, I'm cool. Like and that's why like I feel like the work I could take my time. I don't have to rush through it. Like I don't have to get it now. Oh my god,
Right.
So like I can, be really in depth and like make sure it works for me before it works for someone else.
Mhm.
So, I think it's definitely one of those things where like it's a big deal. It's a big
Well, I
difference.
mean, and with the long game too, in the end, you can really sit back and look at it and say, I can't find any imperfections with that. I gave it my best, and I am completely satisfied with it.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like a couple of years when my son was born, when I wasn't doing art at all, stay home dad, like my wife was at work, like I just didn't have nothing to do. I don't know, I couldn't go out in the studio for hours and hours. I had to watch him. So like now that I have the time, he's older. I just well, like after like, oh, you're free, and it's like yeah, and then it's just like kind of like falling in your face because you just rushed into it. And you just like boom, you get so uninspired. You like, why isn't anyone liking this? Why isn't it coming out the way? Why isn't you start blaming, and you just ah. and it just totally takes away from the work and what you're trying to do. And
So, are you going to incorporate music with your art, or is it just kind of an art show, or you keep
it's
it?
an art show, like there was like, I have friends in Denver that like, we want to play, and I'm like, I don't want to deal with it. You book us a show and play. I'm like, nope, I don't want to deal with it. Like I kind of want to have the art thing stand out for itself for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I want my music friends to enjoy it. I want my music friends to be there. I want, but for this one, I kind of just want to, because in the past I would have like, done a show and like an art opening and like a sign, and just all this stuff. But like, I'm older, I got a lot more stuff on my hands.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to simplify it and enjoy it, because when you like, you're running a show or art gallery opening and all this kind of stuff, you lose your time with like the people who are there. You know what I mean? You lose we're all traveling out to this art show, my family and I,
Mm-hmm.
and like I want to enjoy it with them. I don't want to be busy. Like I gotta make sure this band's on. I don't want to make for this one, just keep it simple. Don't overthink it. I just want to paint. I just want to put it on the wall. I just want to show up. Like, and then maybe when it's a little bit easier, like, oh, the paintings are done, let's throw a band on. Let's make it a little bit more of a thing. But for the first one, I don't want to overdo it because it's going to ruin the experience for myself, my family, and you know what I mean? It's also like, and if it was also local, maybe a little something on the side, but being somewhere that I've never like don't really have a foothold far as like venues and stuff like that.
Right.
I'm like, I'm doing an art show, move over, I'm doing all this, and it's like it's a little, I'm just doing the art show, everyone just show up. This is way
Right.
easier on my conscience and especially like I still got to put the art together, so like I can't book 7 bands and do like guarantees and booking agents and managers, and while I'm trying to do 30 pieces to put on a wall.
Right.
So like I'm too old to overcomplicate myself, So, and I want to do that once it gets easier mentally for me. Like, oh, this is an old hat. Like I could do this. Cool. We can have a band play. We can, like we can make it a thing. But and like with the gallery owner, I was like, look, I just want to paint. Whatever you want to do, just you do it. I'll show up. I'll yes or no it. And like and it's like kind of like at the point of my life still doing shows. It's just like I don't have to do every show. I don't have to make everything music related. I don't have to. I can, but it'll overcomplicate the whole meaning of the original thing.
Right.
So I don't want to spoil that for the first one.
Now, are there going to be other artists there too, or just you?
This is my solo. This is my premiere solo gallery showing.
Gotcha. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I'm pretty proud.
We went as a family and did this new thing here in Columbus called bicycle spin art.
Okay.
and pretty much you have one person that is pedaling a bicycle, and there's a tire that's up here. You put your canvas on that, it spins around, you drop your colors in, you add glitter, whatever. And the girl that works there, I was showing her some of your art last Saturday, and
Yeah.
she has her own studio and she's putting something together at Columbus College of Art and Design.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and she asked me if I would be interested in working with her as far as like a music art collab. So that's why I was asking you about that. Like, no bands or anything, but kind of putting music into the art, into the show or
Or
whatever.
what music I was listening to, like, like while I was doing it. Yeah, there's a lot of that stuff. Like, of course, like I'm still listening to music. Don't get me wrong. Like, no music, just art. I'm
Right.
still, I'm a vinyl buyer. I still support my friends, whatever music projects they do. Digital vinyl. All that kind of stuff. But like, yeah, that sounds like a great concept.
Mm-hmm.
And even like I love Columbus, Ohio. I love that venue, Ace of Cups. Um,
Okay.
I know a couple other bands. I know a couple of bands out there that that could probably you could work with something like a little set and here's an art show and stuff like that. So like it could work in like a smaller city and a small. If it's a smaller thing,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it could totally work. I feel like it's definitely a doable thing, and it sounds pretty interesting. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's we really haven't been able to talk much about the concept. She has been working on getting people hired for the spin art thing. She's the manager, it's not her thing. But
Okay.
I texted her tonight, asking her about it, and she said, as soon as I get a full staff going and whatever, we'll get together. So, I'm pretty excited about that. I mean,
Yeah.
because they go hand in hand. I mean, it's both forms of art. Music is a form of art, so is painting.
Right. No, and that's a thing that when I was younger, I definitely didn't get. Like, I could do shows, I could still draw,
Mm-hmm.
I could still paint, I could still do whatever, I could do both at the time, but I didn't. And it kind of like, 20 years later, like picked up the paintbrush again and just like, what are you doing? Like painting. It's like, and all these music industry people were like, you paint? They just knew me. They just knew me for doing shows and doing music. You know what I mean? So like, it was a revelation to everyone. Like, wow, this is great, dude. Like, oh my god. I'm like, yeah, that's right. You don't know. That's right. You don't know. so, but yeah, I would love to incorporate something like that somewhere. I know a good friends of mine, Rattlesnake Venom Trip. Do you know that band?
No, sir, I do not.
Oh, you should check them out. Let's see. Let me
Yeah,
get the name right.
yeah, I'll write that down.
Yep, Rattlesnake Venom Trip. They just played with Voivod at um what is it, at Ace of Cups, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
Yep.
check them out.
Voivod and Year of the Cobra at Ace of Cups, June 9th.
Yeah, we got another cool venue that opened up recently. It's called the King of Clubs.
Okay, so I guess same owners.
I'm not sure if it is or not. I know
Okay.
that these guys have they started out pretty small. This actually used to be a club that I went to when I was like in my early 20s.
Okay.
And it's been a couple of different things, and they opened this place up, and it's been awesome. I mean, I actually have a live interview there tomorrow with the band Saliva.
Oh, sweet.
So, pretty stoked about that one. But I just read that there's in the fall, like, oh my God, Lacuna Coil, Butcher Babies, they're going to be there. And this is, I mean,
That's
maybe,
huge.
yeah, it's maybe a 300 people top venue. If you've ever been to the Newport Music Hall in Columbus,
I have.
it's smaller than that.
I was there for Scion Fest in 2011.
Yeah.
2011. Yeah, I was there for that. Me and a few buddies did a metal road trip. It was from Scion to South by Southwest, and
Okay.
it was a cool little thing that we did. But yeah, I love Columbus. It's so low key. What was that smaller club they did the shows at? It wasn't Eight of Clubs.
Alrosa.
Yes,
Yeah, that was the one where Dimebag was killed.
yes. I saw that tour a couple of days before. And probably still had the hangover going when we heard that he got murdered. So
Yeah, that was a very sad day in Columbus.
very sad day for metal, for
Hmm.
music, and for music. It's not like globally. So yeah, it's a terrible thing. It sucks.
Yeah, they actually just recently tore it down and putting up efficiency apartments.
I did see that on Metal Sucks or Metal Injection or something like that. I did see that. I'm like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah, people weren't too happy about it, but what can you do?
Well, now you got this new club, King of Clubs, right? So
Hmm.
maybe it can have some more positive memories there now.
Yeah, I
So
mean, we got quite a few of them around here, and just a little history lesson. I didn't know if you know this or not, but the Newport Music Hall actually used to be the Columbus Agora, and it is the longest running rock club in the United States.
really,
Yes, sir. It's the longest consistent rock club. It's been through different owners, different like now Promo West pretty much owns it.
okay,
So, but they were actually just selling off the building. They're still going to run the promotions, but somebody else bought it up. So
right,
this
right, right.
place just keeps going and going and going, man. I mean, when you walk in that place, you can smell the beer and the sweat and
I don't miss it, but I kind of miss
right.
it when I.
But I mean, it's. I was talking to my brother about it, and he lives out in Vancouver, Washington, and he
Okay.
was he was like, man, he said, I remember in 1978, I drank a beer with Angus Young there.
Oh wow,
I was like, seriously? He's like, yeah, I was two in '78, and I'm like, man, you suck.
I was two too. I did
So
get to smoke. I did get to smoke a joint with Patti Smith though at the last show at CBGB's, so that was kind of cool. So
nice,
I'm gonna tell my kid that, and and he'd be like, "Who?" And I didn't even worry about it,
right, right.
So,
So yeah, man.
what
I
is that bar? What is the bar where you put the dollar bills at in Columbus?
oh
You know what I'm talking about, right?
yeah, I don't think that one's around anymore either.
No!
Trying to think of the name of it, but
They had the greatest food.
yeah, they if it was they've torn down so much or and rebuilding stuff to suit the uppity metro area. You know what I mean?
Gentrification, yeah.
Right. So I mean, because there used to be this killer bar next door, and actually not too long ago did a interview with uh, Steelheart, and
Okay.
I told him I said one of my biggest memories of my concert days was we came out of the Newport Music Hall and there was this bar next to it, which is no longer there. And John Fowler walked out of the front doors of the Newport and said, hey, you guys want to come hang with us? And went next door and hung out with him. I mean, it was like the biggest moment of my life because I'm like, 16 years old, 15 years old. And I'm like, man, I'm in a bar with a band.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm with them. I'm with them.
Right.
Totally
So
Wayne's World moment. You're like, I'm with them. Like just
right. And it's really just cool because I mean I've been to the Newport for so many shows and it's like the one lasting memory that I have. I mean,
Right. That's the thing. Thinking back at CBGB's, there's so many memories there. I've been there for like 11 plus years. Like that's a long part of your life, and like
mhm.
all the experiences, all the bands you've seen, all like just even like the ethereal stuff. Like yeah, I remember this time I just hung out with this person, or like I met this my friend that I'm still friends with for 30 years. Like it, and it's gone, and you're just like it's there's something missing in your body, and it kind of sucks. But I'm glad there's more stuff opening up in Columbus because it's such a great town, and I hate the Blue Jackets because I'm a Rangers fan. So let's put it that way. We won't even talk about that.
Right.
But like it's good that like they're getting bigger shows. Like they're considered a B or C market that a Lacuna Coil will like. Hey, we'll play.
Yeah.
Why not? Why not? There's still fans there. You know what? A lot of people can't really go to Cleveland. Is Columbus in the middle?
It's in the middle.
It's in the middle of Cincinnati and Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland's north, Cincinnati south.
Yeah. Okay. So we need to bridge that gap because there's a lot of fans that can't get to either or. So
Mhm.
that's cool. So I'm glad there's newer stuff still opening and still for you guys to enjoy and make new memories.
Well, I know that we're all trying to petition Danny Wimmer because they did have Rock on the Range out here, and then it was Sonic Temple for I think a year,
Uh huh.
and then COVID hit, and nothing's been mentioned about it since.
So it pretty much moved to Florida or Kentucky or not where it used to be.
Right. Well, actually, I don't think it's anywhere because I mean, you got Florida's what Rockville, and then Kentucky is the Louder in Life, which is his too. But I mean, we have Incarceration, which is at the Mansfield Reformatory, and
Okay.
there's some really good bands playing there this year. It's
Okay.
just, and you get a lot of First Energy Stadium there in Cleveland. Def Leppard and Poison, all them are playing there. They're also playing at the Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, but there's no place that big here in Columbus that's outdoors. It's
Right.
either a Schottenstein's Arena or Nationwide Arena. It's something that's indoors, and I mean, in the middle of the summer, you want to play outside.
Right. Right. Of course. So like a shed or what's your minor league baseball team?
The Columbus Clippers.
Still the Clippers. That used to be the Yankees minor league baseball team, AAA team back in the day, and I'm a baseball nerd, so I was just wondering. So, but why can't they play there or just some a shed type place? You know what I mean? It
Right.
just depends on the people who care about where you live and maybe the guy from King of Clubs I want to do bigger. I want to look into this.
Mhm.
It's gonna get there. Don't worry. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Again, it's gonna take time. It's gonna take years. It sucks that you want it now, but that kind of cool stuff, it's gonna take years to kind of flourish to everyone's liking. So it's coming. Don't worry. Look,
Right.
you gotta win. You gotta win with Lacuna Coil coming. That's huge. That's huge. This summer. You know what I mean? So a lot of bands will see that and be like, I want to play that club too. Why not? It's halfway in between whatever. Why aren't we playing? Well, Lacuna Coil's playing. Why not? So it's coming. Don't worry. So
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing that they're running into is the stadium where they had that was our soccer team, the Columbus Crew. It was their stadium.
okay.
Well, when there was that whole thing of them being sold off, and Columbus kind of went ape shit about it, and because that was going to be sold to some place in Texas.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
And
Yeah.
we were like, we want them to stay here, so they built them a new stadium down in what we call the Arena District, which is where Nationwide Arena is and all that.
Okay.
The stadium where that took place is just sitting there, and nobody knows what they're going to do with it. But I mean, it's a great place for a concert because I mean, you got the whole open field, and it's just a whole. It's like a
Open.
right hertz or maybe 3/4 circle. I mean, great place to see a show.
Right.
So we're hoping that maybe somebody's going to pick that up, and we can actually get some of the bigger events like the stadium tour and stuff like that, because it would just be pretty epic. I mean, huge fan of all those bands. I mean, love Joan Jett, Def Leppard, Poison.
Yeah, you want to see that? Poison, Winger, and Warrant was my first show I've ever seen at 11. So you want to take your kid sit on the lawn, not really like a shed type show, you sit on the lawn for $5, yeah, it's fun,
Right.
if you're missing that, it's a scratch that needs to be filled, itch. So I think whoever's buying this bigger club or whatever, this new club, will probably look into that kind of stuff to kind of now that he has this connection, he could further his connection out to a bigger space for a whole community to enjoy. So I wouldn't worry about it. Again,
Yeah.
these things take time, and just if you find the passion, I want to be a part of it. How can this work? Everything is a question. You know what I mean? It applies with music promotion. It applies with art. It applies with anything. If you don't ask the question, it's never going to get done, you
Right.
know, or it's never going to be heard. Your idea, and if it's no, okay, we'll come out, we'll think about it and see how it can work next time, or like work on, how can we make this better. So it's just one of those things, that you have the power to do, or your community has to do if they really want it. So
Right.
yeah.
Okay, Rich. Well, I appreciate all of your insight. Loved hearing about the history of your underground music promotions and
Thank you.
the art. Matter of fact, when I do my editing, if it's okay with you, I'll go ahead and put a picture of Chaos Face and the demented android arachnid in
Yep.
with the video clip.
Yeah, for sure.
So
That'd be great. No, that'd be great. Make sure to like tag my socials. Everything is just at Rich RICH underscore HALL. Twitter, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. You can reach me on that.
all right, brother. Well, again,
All right.
I appreciate your time, and
Appreciate your time. Thank you very much for having me.
it was great to talk to somebody that's like me. You know what I'm saying? So,
There's a lot of people out there. You just got to reach out to them.
right.
All
All right. Well, thank you very much.
right, Matt. You have a great night. All right. Be safe.
Bye.